Usually, animals in the wild will try to stay well away from humans out of fear. So, when a tigress approached a lone man, he did not expect the unbelievable thing that she would ask of him, because the wilderness has always been a magical place, and one that Joseph loved to explore. It was located in a small rural village in Russia. Normally, animals in the wild will try to stay well away from humans out of fear. Joseph grew up next to the gorgeous woodland where he was born. As he grew older, Joseph took up a job as a hunter because he knew the forest well and knew how to take care of himself while getting the best game available. But little did he know that his love for the wild would lead him to a situation that would change his life forever. It started as a normal day. Joseph's father took him into the forest to learn how to hunt, track, and appreciate nature's beauty. He awoke just as the sun was rising and went into the forest to begin his hunt. He had a few customers who had asked him to go and get some meat, and he was running low himself, so he went in to get a lot of games. As the morning wore on, the sun gave the forest an ethereal glow that the hunters could not believe. At noon, he decided to stop for lunch. The hunter could see a lot of light, indicating that there was a clearing that would be perfect to rest in. But as he entered the small clearing, he never would have expected to find what he did. Standing in the middle of the clearing was a tiger. Joseph had already managed to hunt a few birds and had decided to cook one for his lunch. He was in an unfamiliar forest, but he wasn't scared because he could always follow his tracks back to the village. Despite catching the hunter off guard, the tiger acted calmly and didn't want to harm him. Seeing the big cat's behavior as a chance, Joseph quickly raised his gun and leveled it at the beast. However, the big cat didn't move and stared at the hunter, confused by the tiger's behavior and not wanting to shoot the beautiful creature. Joseph carefully dropped his revolver and proceeded to approach the beast. Witnessing the guy move towards it, the hunter softly called out for the tiger as he approached, which seemed to calm the animal as he stopped growling and allowed the man to get a few feet away from her. The tiger started to take a few steps back, while still growling softly in a warning. As the animal moved, Joseph noticed it was clearly a female because her teats were full of milk, indicating that she had some cubs nearby. Another thing that Joseph noticed about the animal, that she was clearly limping. When Joseph approached the large cat, he saw the tigress's wound was much worse than he had anticipated. It appeared as if someone had attempted to shoot the poor tiger, and the bullet had grazed her in the back of her leg, but it wasn't a clean shot. And it had clearly become infected to the point where the animal's health was compromised. Joseph immediately attempted to assist, but the large cat repelled him with her growls before acting genuinely unusually. At this point, Joseph started to hear tiny squeals and growls from the edge of the clearing. It was the tigress's cubs. The big tigress picked one of her babies up from the ground and limped back towards Joseph. Once she had reached him, the cat gently set the cub down at the hunter's feet. She then retrieved another cub and left it right next to the first. At that point, the tigress started walking away from the hunter and her pups since she didn't know what he intended to do with them. And he was too terrified of what she might do if he tried to touch them. He was startled and attempted to command the tigresses to wait, but it gave him one final glance before vanishing into the woods. Although the hunter was surprised by what had transpired, he knew the mother tiger wasn't abandoning her cubs. If she didn't have to, he feared that the mother tiger knew she didn't have much time left and wanted to ensure that the cubs could survive. Unwilling to leave the two young tigers alone, Joseph picked them up in his arms and made his way back out of the forest and to his house. Once he was in the village, he decided to take the two tigers to a neighborhood vet. The hunter thanked the veterinarian and took the cubs home, following his instruction to the letter. He wanted to ensure that there was nothing wrong with the babies so that he could raise them as best as he could. The vet gave the two young cubs a clean bill of health and instructed Joseph on how to care for them, including what to feed them and how often as they grew older. As time passed, the two young tigers Joseph named Sasha and Alexei grew bigger and more powerful. At one point, officials from a nearby city zoo learned about the two cubs. They approached Joseph and offered to buy the two cubs from him so that they could become part of the zoo's attraction, but the hunter refused, because he felt that in doing so would mean betraying the mother. Joseph was sad to see the animals go, but he knew it was for the best, as the forest was always where they belonged. A few years passed. Joseph was walking through the forest, looking for any good game to hunt, when he suddenly had an idea to return to the clearing where he had fetched the 2 tigers. They had grown into 2 beautiful young adults and knew all the skills they would need to survive in the wild by themselves. When Joseph arrived in the clearing, he noted that not much had changed, even though he appeared to be quite a few unusual holes in the ground. He didn't think anything of it. He hoped that maybe against all chances, the 2 creatures that he would rear would somehow be in the area. Looking up from his campfire, the hunter decides to pitch his tent and stay in the clearing for the night, before returning the next day to his house. When a large grizzly bear emerged from the trees and entered the clearing, it quickly became aware of the hunter and charged at him. Joseph scrambled from his seat and dashed into the woods and away from the bear, after realizing he had forgotten his pistol in the tent. However, the enormous grizzly bear followed Joseph and quickly caught up with him. Sasha and Alexei, 2 adult tigers, ensured that Joseph was behind them as they fought off the angry grizzly bear. Eventually, the bear got tired of fighting and walked away. Just as it appeared as though Joseph might not survive, 2 orange and black blurs emerged from the trees and got in between the bear and the man. As Joseph started to calm down, Joseph couldn't believe that the 2 animals he had raised had come to help him in his time of need. After checking that Joseph was okay, the tigers returned to the trees. Although Joseph knew that he would never meet them again, he was overjoyed to see the 2 animals healthy and doing well in the environment which they belonged. Let me know what you think of the story in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more awesome videos.